I am Luis, I am 25 years old, and I'm from Argentina. I am in a quest to become a perfect-looking elf.
Bro's a real elf!
I'm not a Kepler elf, I'm not an elf in the shelf. I specifically focus my transformation in space elves.
Who would have known that there are all these different types of elves? Now, when I think about an elf, I think about Legolas from the Lord of the Rings movies.
Final count, 42.
42? Oh, that's not bad for a pointy-eared elvish princeling.
And whenever I saw Orlando Bloom on TV, I always thought about Legolas, until I saw Orlando Bloom on that paddleboard wearing no clothes, and now that's the only thing that gets stuck in my head whenever I think of him.
Some years ago, I learned that you can change your eye color by laser. It was experimental, but I decided to do it anyway.
Now, I haven't actually seen laser treatments to change your eye color, but I have seen injections of dye into the eyes to change the color, and it definitely works. But the big risk with a procedure like this is blindness. Yes, there are actual case reports in the scientific literature of people getting dye injected into their eyeball to change the color of the eyeball and them going blind from it. So it's very, very dangerous.
I did my nose surgery and my jaw liposuction at the same time, but sadly the result is not the perfect small elfic face that I wanted to have.
I actually think his results look really nice. His nose has been reshaped, it looks fairly narrow, it looks very refined. Maybe a touch on the thin side. His jawline looks really good as well. Typically a nose job like this takes about 2 hours, and doing some liposuction under the chin takes about a half hour. Neither of these are real extreme surgeries.
I want my nose to be smaller, my jaw to be smaller and more symmetric. I want to fulfill my dreams and reach my goals.
So in this situation, I think he looks really good. So now he's going to be asking a plastic surgeon to alter his face to take it from really looking good and refined.
Look at this distinguished gentleman.
To looking kind of different and maybe not necessarily better. So if you're doing plastic surgery to make somebody look better, that typically is a reasonable thing. If you're doing plastic surgery to just make somebody look different, that's a whole other story, and that's typically where I draw the line.
It's a 2-hour process to transform into an elf. Start with skin bleaching soaps. To protect my bleached skin, I have to use a strong sunblock.
Being from Argentina, he may have a slightly darker skin color than what you're seeing here. Some ways to lighten the skin include topical creams. He's mentioning a soap, which I'm not too familiar with, but you can also use IV treatments like glutathione that can also basically lighten your skin from the inside out. Now, although I'm not a big fan of these types of treatments to lighten the skin overall, because, I mean, darker skin is attractive too, I am glad that he is at least using sunblock to protect his skin from the rays of the sun. So at least there's something that he's saying that I agree with.
Now I'm wearing FX ears, but I want my ears to be cut to look like an elf, actually.
Well, I can't imagine as a plastic surgeon that anybody can create truly natural ears like that. They are so pointy, they stick out so much that no matter how good of a plastic surgeon you are, you cannot create this. That being said, creation of elf ears is a real thing. You can reshape the cartilage to make it look pointier, even pointier than my ears, which are pretty pointy, but not like the prosthetics that he's wearing right now.
Space elves.
Yeah, they are a species of aliens that look humanoid but faces with cat shape.
Oh my gosh, look at them. Those doctors have no idea what they've gotten themselves into. Hey, want to know the ultimate skincare secret? It's retinol. With this stuff, you can say goodbye to fine lines and wrinkles and hello to smooth, glowing skin. Retinol, a form of vitamin A, works to reduce the appearance of aging of your skin. This powerful moisturizer hydrates your skin, leaving it soft and supple. And with regular use, you'll see a noticeable improvement in your skin's texture and tone. Check out our online store at younbeauty.com or download the Youn Beauty app on your phone to order yours today.
You are willing to risk blindness to have your eye color
Yes,
changed?
no risk, no gain.
Well, if you want to change the color of your eyes, really the way I recommend you do it is to buy colored lenses. There are contact lenses being used in Hollywood all the time to change the color of the eyeballs. But to do it permanently, like I mentioned earlier, can be very, very dangerous. You can get scarring from it, you can get changes in your vision from it, you could potentially get cataracts, infection, and the worst thing that I mentioned earlier is blindness. Do not change the color of your eyeballs using these procedures, please.
What else are you considering having done?
Well, I have to cut my ears to be pointy like an elf.
There is an urban legend that there were underground rave parties in New York City of people just with elf ears. And the claim is that people who have ears that are reshaped to look like an elf supposedly had better hearing. And so they would have these listening parties in these raves in these kind of underground areas of New York City that would only be for people with elf ears. So does changing the shape of your ear actually improve your hearing? Well, if you take your hand and you cup it around your ear, you can see that you can actually hear better if you do that because it helps to gather those sound waves and point them towards your actual ear itself. But just making it pointy, that's not going to improve your hearing at all.
Well, I want to fix my nose and I want to fix my jawline. I want just to move it a little bit and try to make it smaller.
Revision rhinoplasty is a very common surgery. There are a lot of people who have a nose job and they're just not quite satisfied with it. Honestly, that's one reason why I gave up doing nose jobs about 10 years ago, because even if, let's say, I was happy with the result, maybe my patient wasn't quite as happy as I was. Or vice versa. The patient could be happy with the result and I may look at it and go, oh, it's just a little crooked. The problem with nose jobs is just being 1 millimeter off in a nose job. Let's say even if you get a little scar tissue that literally is just 1 millimeter, that is visible from a normal speaking distance. So even if you do the operation perfectly and the result looks absolutely perfect on the operating room table, there's no guarantee that after the nose heals, it's going to look like that.
Your breathing is bad?
Yeah, my breathing is bad.
Okay.
Compared to how it was before.
So that's a big concern. If he wants to have another nose job to narrow his nose and his breathing is already bad, and it sounds like it got worse after his last rhinoplasty, by actually narrowing the nose more, his breathing is going to be even worse. He may not be able to breathe through that nose at all. Now, I never treated Michael Jackson. I never saw him, but if you look at his nose, there is absolutely no way that that poor guy could have breathed through his nose after all the operations he probably had on it. And just imagine how life would be if you basically took a clipped off your nose so you can't breathe through it for the rest of your life. I mean, no good at all.
I have mixed feelings. I think that they try to scare me, and at the same time, I think I can live without breathing.
Did he just say he can live without breathing?
I can't breathe, but that's fine.
Already.
You don't need to breathe.
I'm assuming he meant breathing through his nose. One of the things that we do as plastic surgeons, if we really don't want to perform an operation because the risks are so high, is we discuss those risks with the patient. And some of them will take it like he did, is that, oh, you're trying to scare me away from the operation. Well, heck yeah, sometimes we are trying to scare you away when those risks are so high and the benefits are so low. Honestly, I'm guilty of that as well.
I can imagine my life without seeing. I will stop working, I will stop studying, I will stop doing the things I love.
Do not do these procedures.
Well, I will take the message.
If you're unhappy with the way you look, the answer isn't always to change the way you look, because sometimes the risks of the operation outweigh the benefits. And in this situation, I'm glad that he is actually listening to these plastic surgeons. When we try to transform ourselves into another species or into a mythical figure, then there are potential underlying psychological issues also at play here. Just like if you want to transform yourself into, let's say, a superhero like Superman, there was a gentleman on the show Botched where he wanted to transform himself literally into Superman and get Superman's abs and his pecs and even more. Check out this reaction right up here where I react to that episode of Botched. Should they operate on Superman? And remember, eat real food, use clean skincare, and autojuvenate before you operate.